It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org, from Louisville Public Media.
Consequence Podcast Network. Hey, and welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you, as always, for making your way here, checking out the series. Please do hit that subscribe button. I do 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists. New interviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at all the usual places that you can grab podcasts. That includes Spotify and Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcasts from. You can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. Some of my recent guests have included, the makers behind Apple TV's The Morning Show, the band Baroness, Corey Taylor of Slipknot, actor Michael C. Hall with his band Princess Goes. We had Leve drop by, Andy Taylor, formerly of Duran Duran, Rat Boys, Westlife, Tommy Stinson from The Replacements, Jerry Harrison of the Talking Heads. It's just an example of what you can hear when you subscribe to the Kyle Meredith with podcast. That's me, Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest, the Breeders, Kim Deal, Kelley Deal, Josephine Wiggs, and Jim Macpherson. We're talking the 30th anniversary of Last Splash. This is their indie classic. We're going to get into the making of it, including their near-mythological amount of experimentation, and how the weird 90s opened the door for their unlikely single Cannonball to be a worldwide hit. The band's also going to recall the story of how they thought they had lost the original analog tapes before an industry friend helped them locate a secondary version that would also unearth the previously unreleased Go Man Go, and an alternate version of their hit single Divine Hammer that featured Dinosaur Jr.'s J Mascis on the vocals. As for what's next, the band's going to tell us that, Kim has a solo album lined up, and they've got some tour dates, some of them even with Belly, which of course opens the door for a former member, Tanya Donlley, to join them on stage. It's all that and more as we talk about the 30th edition of Last Splash. It's Kyle Meredith with the Breeders.
Hi, Kyle.
Hello. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. We're talking, it's the, let's do this properly. It's the 30th anniversary of this beautiful little record right here, Last Splash. And there's a deluxe edition, and you're going back to the tapes, and you found some vault songs that I want to ask about. But I guess that's the beginning, right? A happy anniversary. I know this isn't the anniversary of the band, but still, what a fantastic record it still is. So
thanks. It's it feels it feels really special to be able to celebrate this record and to have people want to hear it, eager to hear it, and eager to go to the shows after 30 years. And that's really, I'm impressed with that.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of it. And I find that impressive, you know.
Like, I'm still reading stories about this album that I never knew about. Like, the experimentation that went into recording feels like its own legend that goes into this stuff. The kooky stuff that you guys were doing in the studio, was that always a part of your all's? I mean, was that a part of Pod and Safari and everything before that? I mean, was that just how you all operated, or was there something about this record that kind of lent itself to that?
It's definitely not how Pod was recorded. Pod, basically, the session that we just recorded here was more complex than the Pod sessions.
However, yes. Like, for instance, I remember when Albini, we were doing Happiness and Warm Gun, he pulls out his big and go.
That's true.
For a flick, if you listen to Happiness is a Warm Gun, the first thing you hear is his big glider hitting. Why? Because it sounded cool. It seemed like a cool thing to do, you know? So even though at the time, nothing feels like we're experimenting. It's not like, let's do a lot of experimentation. Mm-hmm. It's like, I thought drums, his cymbals were too ringy or something, so we threw him off the second floor to try to deaden him. To me, that's not experimenting. That's fixing problems.
It's being practical.
We're always fixing problems.
But of course, it's not how most people did that.
And, you know, I was thinking about, for Pod specifically, with Robin Flies Again, what's the name? Opened. You know, that is music that was kind of based on the recitation of Brit doing a dream, saying a dream, right?
In a basement in Kentucky.
In
Yeah,
a basement,
that's
right.
Yeah, he had a dream, and it's just like...
What's that line? The kitchen in Kentucky in the actual
Is it a kitchen?
It's
or
kitchen. There it is. Yeah, I have that. I have it because why wouldn't I have that?
Yeah.
I don't have it here
What
though.
about the basement? There's a basement reference.
And the concrete basement.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we're talking about Britt from Slint, who had been a drummer originally.
Yes.
And then Jim comes along and
It's
makes the whole world better.
I love Brit.
It's interesting though, you know, you guys brought up that cover of Happiness is a Worm Gun, because I was thinking about though the practicalness of the recording that we might call experimentation. I was thinking about, it seemed like the White Album at that point was just like the album that every cool musician wanted to talk about. Like it was its moments, you know, and I don't know how much
Is he
that
going
had
to say Last Splash is like the White Album?
I did. Did you hear that?
No, is that what you were getting ready to like,
Absolutely, exactly what I
infer?
was. I listen to Last Splash a lot more than I listen to the White Album. So, for what that's. But no, what I was gonna, you know, like what? Do You Love Me Now? When I listen to it, like there's this '60s vibe that I always hear in that song, and I don't know if you're meant to. With so many bands, you can hear a lot of their influences. With you all, you had this original sound. It didn't sound like anyone, but every now and then, like that stuff comes out. Like you were covering "So Sad About Us" from The Who, or a lot around that time too. Like, I guess the question is like, how much do you find that your influences were still creeping into your songwriting at all? At that, like, did that still happen around then?
I never thought of Do You Love Me Now sounding 60s. I loved the Crystals and, you know, the Shangri-Las and stuff. But do you think?
It's the dual vocal thing, I think, that gives it that feel.
I
can see what you mean.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think maybe that would be a good reinterpretation. Somebody should, you know, do You Love Me Now as a, you know, one of the, you know,
Yeah, like a
girl
girl group
groups.
60 song. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Somebody could, or you could.
Yeah, we could. I don't know if I can.
You don't have the energy for it. No, I don't have the energy for it.
Now I'm going to think about that the whole interview.
And we'll be right back right after this. Welcome back. It's Kyle Meredith with The Breeders.
But there was that great moment. I mean, just those great moments during that time. I think I talk about this a lot in interviews too. It's like the weird 90s. Like it didn't happen any other point. Like you had, like Ren and Stimpy was a mainstream cartoon around that time, you know? Like how much of that's, like Cannonball becomes a hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a platinum selling record, Last Splash. Mm-hmm. Like, did it feel like that at the moments when this record came out? Like, you know, I mean, we talk about it in hindsight now, you know, it's like, cool. All the alternative artists are finally, you know, on pop radio or whatever. But like how much of the weird 90s like allowed for you this to be what it was?
They still don't play us on TUE in Dayton. No way. I bet we don't get played. Is EBN still up in Boston? I think they closed.
Yeah, I think they're gone. Yeah.
You know, it's funny when you were talking about Cannonball that when asked, like, do you think they'd be played on the radio? At the time, that song was so weird. It starts out with just this happening. You know, there wasn't anything else happening like that.
Right.
There's a lot of, you know, like, you know, men singing about important things, you know, and I really loved it all. So don't get me wrong. I really liked it all. But there was a lot of distortion and stuff. And then, I mean, the song takes how long before it actually starts to get, so you got that, you've got the cymbal, you got the bass, you got that. It was a really strange song.
Like
To
the
be a
one-
radio hit.
Right.
It was really weird, yeah.
Like the one guy said, the most unfriendly radio song intro ever.
Ever, yes.
But you know what? Like, I think I do the air movements or vocals to every single parts.
Yeah.
You know, like we all sing along with, you know, the bass part I sing along to, the drum part I do along to, you know, the guitars, it's like every single bit of that.
Yeah.
Like
Something how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even if it was the most unfriendly, it was still every single part of that is like the greatest thing in that little moment.
Yeah.
You know, and landing on that, like how do you know? Like it's just you
Don't.
just stumble upon it, right? It's funny how that
Or
happens.
as in instance, like the drum clicking, I was in the Coast Studios and Kim's like, let's do a different kind of intro because we were doing stuff in the basement. But so I started doing like clicks and then cracks. And then so she heard like 3 and then I did that one. And then she's like, yeah, keep that one. So like you said, it was just kind of something that
We're stumbling on something we know we wanted something to go there.
Yes.
So it's
Right.
a combination.
Right.
Experimenting.
Sure.
Yeah.
There it is. Haha. I've won you over. It took a little bit longer than to get to the chorus of Cannonball, but we got there. That's I'm glad it happened. And I should say, by the way, it all sounds simple, and I know it's not because you have to work at this stuff. But and like even the guitar part, like I was a guitar player for a very short time in my life. I think 8 years altogether. But that was one of those songs that kind of showed me like you can come up with something simple and it's going to work.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah,
And that was so important to me at the
Yeah.
time.
And some of my favorite guitar parts are simple, you know, riffs and melodies that you can. Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an earworm that sounds like the name of what it is. An earworm. It sounds like a
Just kind of wiggles itself in there. Yeah. Well, thanks for the earworm. All these years. So there is the new version of this, and I read about you thought the analog tapes were completely lost. What's the story? Because
Do it. Do it. I like it.
It's awkward to talk about it because we don't want to
it's not.
embarrass beggars.
Yes, we do.
we definitely want to embarrass beggars.
How could that be embarrassing?
She was here. I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's
Sorry. No, we
that's-
don't.
No, but how can that? Beggars hadn't even existed. Well, did they exist then?
Yes, of course they did.
Oh yeah, they did. It is very embarrassing for you guys. No, just kidding.
Okay, let's just put it this way. The original tapes were in 2 forms. One of them was the 1/2-inch master that was mixed down from 24-track 2-inch tape. And when we came to do the 20th anniversary performances of Last Splash. Oh, actually, you knew this before, didn't you? We knew that the 2-inch 24, there was no possibility of going back to that tape because it had melted.
Oh,
In a fire, right, or something.
No, just from age.
Oh,
One hopes, though, that one keeps up
Yeah.
with the baking
In
of
with a-
said tape and does a transfer before the digital
What you think
information
is
is
that the
lost
record
completely.
company who's in possession of this priceless artifact is keeping it
From
in a
93.
humidity controlled, you know, free of mice, etc.
We don't expect the 2-inch to be
No.
ready to go right now. It's been baked out. It would have been baked out of existence. And anybody even chose to bake it once, which I bet they didn't.
Yeah. So anyway, we knew that that was, as we say, toast
uh-huh.
at that point.
Uh-huh.
And the 1/2-inch tape, they didn't know where it was.
explain what 1/2-inch tape is. Like,
Oh.
what's the difference between the 2-inch tape and the
2-inch
1/2-inch?
tape is a 24-track original tracks. So that
Separated.
if, for example, the tapes hadn't shed onto the floor, you could have conceivably remixed the album, for example. Not that you would want to, but people do.
People do, sure.
But when the final part after you've, we've slaved away creating those 24 tracks, it gets mixed down to a 1/2-inch tape, or it used to in the olden days. And that's the master.
Stereo, left to right,
Yeah.
master.
It's a stereo master,
Uh-huh.
and then they use that to manufacture the record.
So when looking at the 30th, the idea was, how about using the master, the 1/2-inch master, and doing this fancy thing to get a high quality
No, we already knew that they didn't know where it was.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm
they
setting you
didn't
up for a
4AD.
pitch.
Beggars. I'm not
can't
going to
see
say
off the
they
camera, but
lost
they're here.
it. I'm just going to say perhaps mislaid or mislabeled. It could still be there, but
Only one of the
nobody-
greatest albums of
nobody
all time.
knows.
Sure. That's,
No one
yeah,
will ever know.
Right.
True.
In the meantime,
What was the original question, though?
in the meantime, oh, I don't
You know, it's interesting too
Oh,
because,
how
like,
this came about, how the finding the
yeah,
tape.
yeah.
If it were
finding the tape
me
came
and
about.
I was in charge of this big warehouse of this bulky bull crap, I don't know if I can swear here. You know, I'd be like, "There's new technology. We're going places. We don't need this stuff.
No, you
We're
need
gonna
to
just use
transfer
this
it.
shiny.
That's
Look at
what
this
you need to
shiny
do.
silver disc. This is all I need." I can see how that happens, don't you? How people get
Yeah.
Trying to make
lackadaisical
excuses, I think, for the label.
with the originals. I would.
Don't back down.
Anyway, so
I do that actually.
they couldn't. It's like, oh, let's use a half-inch stereo master because Abbey Road wanted to do this new thing that they're doing, which is doing the half-speed master where you have two discs that represent one disc, but you play it at 45 RPM. The grooves are nice and fat, so that's nice because it's just nice. It's nice to not have the favorite song at the end of an album and then it starts to hear the distortion and stuff like that.
Sure, you get the big deep sound all the way
That's
through.
right. And you play it on 45 and there's two discs that represent the Last Splash album. So we're going to do that. So of course we're going to need the half-inch stereo master. You can't do that sort of process on a CD or something. Who knows what they use? Honestly. So anyway, we asked for it and they couldn't find it, but we did find it. Sarah, who manages a Louisville band called White Reaper, she's our manager too. She knew some dude who's handling the vault in Warner Brothers. And in Warner Electra Asylum, we were on Electra. So they had the half-inch analog stereo master and they gave us a high-res transfer.
Beautiful. I've been in that vault.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I held Purple Rain.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, small world.
Yeah, it was big, but I didn't know that yours was in there. I would have helped you. That was like a handful. I would have grabbed it for you guys while I was there. If I had known, I was already there. It's
Probably could have saved us some money.
Like Frank or something.
Yeah.
would have been so helpful.
remember his name.
about right.
Would have been thanked in the credits. At least I hope. It's
She is on the credit on this.
And then while you were going through the mixes, right? You saw Go Man Go.
that's where the other tracks come
It
from.
started on the 20th. You know, we have this artist-friendly contract where 4AD can't, and beggars can't repackage stuff and just send it out. So on the 20th, we decided, let's do a big box set, getting all these photographs and all these notes and things and memories and rejiggering the artwork. Vaughn Oliver was still alive at the time. He was this master visionary artist that worked all the labels on all the album covers on 4AD. So we did a package there. We did a box set for the 20th. This thing that we have right now isn't a box set. It's just a really sweet recording from a really sweet half-inch master.
Right.
But the one on the 20th, I remember 4AD was sending us this list of everything they had in the vault. And I saw Go Man Go, and then we were confused. I thought we had recorded it. A demo.
I think we might have demoed it.
Why isn't
You're
it
a
on the
liar.
Demo, then
What?
why isn't it on the demo if we demoed it?
You said we didn't demo it today.
No, yes, he did say that.
Did I?
He did.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
That was before we played music. The cymbals are ringing in my ear.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Did we play it live in 1992?
No.
Then we wouldn't have demoed it.
Well, maybe it was a song that we just made up in the studio.
How do we learn it?
We just made it up.
recorded it
We
at-
experiment.
It was an experiment.
There you go.
So it was done, but you guys forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then found it.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah,
And here's
literally for-
and did you remember it at that point? Was it one of those moments like, what is this?
You call this remembering?
Sure, I'm figuring that out. Right. Kind of getting to see how this works.
What is remembering?
This.
Oh, that.
This
I understand it's 30 years ago, by the way. I can't remember
Right.
things 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I get that.
morning, frankly.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back right after this. Welcome back. It's Kyle Meredith with The Breeders.
So you get Go Man Go, which, by the way, is so good. And I should mention, we have been playing it in heavy rotation on WFPK for the past month, so it's so good. And there's this other, which we call Divine Mascis, which is Divine Hammer, with Jay Mascis doing the vocals.
Let me intro this.
Okay, please.
Because now you remember your lesson before about the 2-inch
Absolutely.
tape where all the tracks are. So Kim was,
I didn't like Divine Hammer, our version of Divine Hammer out in.
and Do You Love Me Now too, right?
And Do You Love Me Now? I just thought they could have a nice, really big, thick, heavy guitar on them. It would make it sound cooler.
And it's like, what was that? What would Jesus do? It's like, what would Jay do?
We knew his manager, Janet Billig, at the time. And I think he was working with
So back then, we're just going to gliss right by that.
Gold.
So back then, you couldn't just send tracks to somebody. So we made a copy of the 2-inch master and sent it to Jay to add stuff on. We were expecting rad guitars because he's like a guitar hero, right? And a drummer as well. I mean, and a singer, obviously, but we were looking for guitars. But then what we got back was Jay singing
Doing the vocals on the,
on Divine Hammer,
Yeah.
which we call Divine Mascis.
Yeah.
It sounds really good.
It does sound really good. And it sounds so funny, though, of course, because I'd never heard. Like, I knew the version, the B-side of Do You Love Me Now? Like, that had been out there.
Right.
But hearing it on there, it's like, why would you have somebody else sing your song? And then, of course, that song goes on to become its own great hit single.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Why didn't you like Divine
I
Hammer?
want to show you the video. It'll take me too long to find
Okay.
it.
Oh, go ahead. The other thing is, and then
He did a video for us for Divine Mascis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a music video?
Don't show him that. There's going to be a big reveal.
so here's
Don't be
the other
giving
thing
that away
about that.
now.
Should I not tell
It's
anybody?
a-
that
Yeah,
you did
don't
the
tell
video?
anyone.
While they talk about
Don't
that,
tell anyone.
No?
Yeah.
I can't speak over if you guys are yelling.
Yeah, that's why
So
we're
what's
yelling.
really great, what's really great about that is that this saved our butt because in the mixing, mixing or mastering,
What?
mixing
I
and
didn't hear the beginning.
mixing the album, a mistake was made by a tape op there, and they erased some of a song,
Right.
and it's because Jay Mascis had a copy of the 2-inch tape that we were able to get that back and do some repairs to the beginning of Do You Love Me Now?
So not only is he a guitar hero, but just a hero.
Just a hero.
To
Yeah,
all.
that's right. Exactly.
I love Jay Mascis.
Yeah.
He's a hard guy to interview, but...
And we're not.
Oh, this is the best. Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
this is just
Like, I just get to sit here and watch it kind of
I
unfold
wanted to
most of
ask
the time.
Jay a question, and my question would be to Jay: did you redo some of the drums on that Divine Mascis version?
you feel like there's sound.
You feeling territorial?
No, not at all. I just
didn't care.
can't remember this. It seemed like the drum.
There's a couple of patterns
Yes.
that you do not think you did.
Yeah, and Jay's pretty,
He plays drums.
and he can do a little cutting and moving with the stuff, and
Back
You could
then,
ask
I
him
don't
that,
think
but I'm pretty sure the answer is going to sound something like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just.
Do you know how to get him talking, though? Is he talk about bicycling? Oddly. That's how you get Jay talking.
Josephine is
Really?
Yeah,
is
I'm a big
big fan of
Yeah.
Show her necklace. Show
Yeah.
her
You-
necklace.
What do you got? What am I looking at? Oh, it says, okay.
It's the Sagino
I get it now.
75
Yeah.
chain ring.
I mean, I couldn't have got that detailed, but
Yeah.
it looks fantastic.
Pork.
Oh, we're all dorks. I don't know what you're That's what we're here for. It's so good, this record. And I do love hearing all about these deep details of this and the 30th anniversary. And I should also bring up how good this record is as well. Unearth came out a few years ago. I was telling you when we did the R-Ring interview how often me and my wife around the house will say, wait in the car. I got business. I got business. Oh, it's so good. That's the obvious question. That's been a few years. Is there more?
Well, COVID put kind of a damper on some things in terms of sucking some time away. And now we're doing this. This is our big, coming back after COVID. Like we just did for the first time. When I say the word COVID, I feel like, what am I talking about? like, you know, the
I-
some 1918 flu or something, 17, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's all I had. Go ahead. Anybody else? Flu.
We're working on stuff.
Yeah.
Josephine sent some music, and I saw Jim's band about a month ago. They've got a great instrumental surf band. Kelley's been out with Proto Martyr.
I'm doing the R-ring thing.
I've
And
been
then
working on
Kim,
solo things.
she's got a
Jim
solo
plays on it. Kelley plays on it. Joe played on it, except for I raced her.
it's awesome.
I
That's
had
awesome.
to. We
It's
redid the
amazing.
times. It
I can't
didn't
wait
make
to hear
any
it.
sense.
Should be out next year.
All right.
Yeah. It's incredible.
This is multiple interviews. happening
You'll
at the same
lose
time.
it when you hear it. You will.
She's really talking you up.
Yeah. Sorry. Especially my guitar part and
Oh,
like Jim's
God.
drum parts are the best.
Do
The
you guys
best.
hear that ringing?
On the record.
Yes.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
I've
That was
lost
my
that
ear.
frequency.
It is your ear.
Okay.
It's
No,
your
I
collective
mean-
ears.
It's my ears too.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I
When
can
you
hear.
spend this much time together, inevitably you start hearing the same thing. The same ringing. I believe that's how it
There's no
works.
ringing, is there? Is it really ringing?
I don't know. I've lost track of where we are at this point, honestly. It's-
Start again.
start from the top. Let's do this right.
Just have a fresh start.
Hello.
Happy 30th
Random
anniversary. Turn this into some kind of Charlie Kaufman Inside Out-esque interview. I'm only quickly hitting on the business anyway, because I know there's touring. You guys are doing some shows with Belly, which is great because, of course, that means Tanya. And let me tell you, for us nerds, these are those moments where we go, "Hi, cool." Like,
That's nice.
like, do you all have to battle it out? Does she become an honorary member again on the stage? Do you guys have to fight?
We've played some shows in Boston, and we've tried to get her to pick up an axe and play guitar, and she won't.
Really?
She did come up and sing.
Yes, she did.
She has an
Horrible,
open
horrible
invitation
version.
to do play and sing anything.
Yeah.
And we did have her join us on Happiness is a Warm Gun, and she just
No,
blew
it
it.
was us.
Train wreck.
No, it wasn't us.
It was not us.
Really?
Yes. Wasn't it, Jim?
What
It was
was it?
her.
It was her, not
It
us.
was her. It was a
Yeah,
train
For
wreck.
sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
We gotta try it again.
Because clearly she'd not rehearsed or practiced.
She's not professional.
But that just gives you the excuse to try it again, as
Exactly.
you said. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
She was
excuse.
just gonna.
Like,
We need
you
you.
can't go out on that.
We need-
No,
right?
it
You know,
can't.
we have to ask her. Yeah, we need to not do a wing it thing. We need
She
to
might
ask.
not
Yeah.
come back.
Oh.
We have to beg her to come back, I'm sure. She needs a redemption song.
Yes, she does. It's true.
Well, we will play whatever she wants.
Yes.
These moments are too special. I hope that happens. Yeah.
Too.
I'd say I'd fly up and see it, but I'll probably just watch it on YouTube afterwards. So
Yeah.
I'll be here.
You'll probably most likely be able to watch it. If she really makes a mistake, it'll probably get higher.
Great. See, that's what you want to see.
True.
Please, please, please. Okay, once again, 30th anniversary. It's so great hearing you guys doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Nice.
Thank you, Kyle.
My thanks to the breeders, Kim, Kelley, Josephine, Jim. The 30th edition of Last Splash is out now. Thanks to you for checking out the episode. Again, I do hope you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all the interviews that I put out every single week. New ones every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to keep you up to date on your favorite artists. Discover those new ones. Again, Spotify, Apple Podcast, at NPR, WFPK.org, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcast from. You can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. Then after that, head over to WFPK.org. It's where I do a show Monday through Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's 4 hours of favorites from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The best in new music, their anniversary spins, music news, bonus interviews. One of my recent shows had the music of Joni Mitchell, Pretenders, David Bowie, The Stones, The Smiths, The Flaming Lips, Foo Fighters, Amy Mann, Wilco, Tyler Childers, The Fugees, John Lee Hooker, Mary Chapin Carpenter, The Tragically Hip, The Black Keys, Allison Russell, Margot Price, R.E.M., Moby, The Raconteurs, and my interview with Madison Beer. That's just an example of what you get every weeknight starting at 6 p.m. at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. Of course, you can also find me on the old social media spots, any of them actually. The address is always the same, at Kyle Meredith. So I do hope you like and follow along. And that does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith, and I'll see you next time. Consequence Podcast Network.
Do I have crumbs on my brownie crumbs on my face?
It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org, from Louisville Public Media.